Hello there, John Hall from Right Here Pens, and today we're going to be looking at a variation on one of our favourites. We like sailor pens, and this, the 1911, is a very fine pen. However, Sailor have introduced two new models based on the same theme. The theme is that they are ringless, which means they don't have a cap band. Now, that might seem familiar to some of you who are Sailor fans, and some of you might actually be fortunate enough to own a Ringless King of Pens, a beautiful thing. Well, the Sailor 1911 Ringless is, in my view, almost equally beautiful. Now this one is the Simply Black, and you'll see it's got rhodium appointments, but it doesn't have a cap band. And this is the Sailor 1911 Ringless Blackout, and you can probably see it has ruthenium appointments and is deeply dark. So we're going to go and have a closer look now. So Sailor have come up with a variation on the ever popular 1911. Now here is a standard 1911. And you'll see it's got typical clip, but it's got a cap band, and I think they've decided at Sailor that that maybe is a little too much ornamentation, so we're looking at one of these less is more pens, and let's just remind ourselves where they probably got the idea from. Yes, of course, it's this chap. The mighty King of Pen, made of ebonite, has a clip, but otherwise no external decoration at all. And of course, one of the best looking nibs you'll ever see. So, that is clearly where the ideas come from. And what they've talked about is getting towards a more uncluttered and possibly more typically Japanese look. So this is the two versions they've done. This is called the Ringless Simply Black, and you'll see what it is basically is just a straightforward 1911 but without the cap band. Okay, so everything else really very much the same, but there are some differences that I think we really ought to pick up. And one of those differences, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see this, but you'll see that the cap here is chamfered down a bit, and I suspect what they've done is actually thickened the cap material here, because you'll see that there is considerably more thickness of resin here. Now the construction otherwise is much the same. You've got a band around the knob here, and you've got the band that retains the clip. The nib is, in this case, the classic and very excellent 1911 nib. We'll just have a closer look at this. A truly lovely nib. It's extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and also zoom and music nibs are available. So you've actually got the full range of Sailor standard nibs. Of course, you'll also know that they've done a special edition of the 1911 to take their Naginata Togi nibs, and that's a different story. That's a very different story. So, the other version is called the Blackout, and everybody's making black pens, and I've got to say this is a particularly handsome one. It is again a progression from the Simply Black, so all of the appointments are ruthenium coated, including the nib. So as you can see, it's a very smart, very black nib. And this is available in fine, medium, broad and zoom. There we are. Now, this is one of my favourite pens. The straightforward 1911 is a very nice looking thing. I like the simplicity, the lack of adornment, and I suppose you pays your money, you takes your choice. So this is going to be a little bit more expensive than the standard 1911, and I suspect that's partly because it's a limited edition. I've got to say, this is an edition that I understand is only being sold into the European market. So I'm afraid if you're in the United States, you're not exactly out of luck, because given the pound-dollar exchange rate at the moment, you'll be able to pick one up for a song. But there we go, give us a shout if you want one. The further progression is the Blackout, and obviously the appointments are less pronounced, they're ruthenium coated, and yeah, darker, so you can't see them so clearly. And it's a very, very smart pen indeed. In fact, quite a showstopper in my view. So there we are. It's a light pen, it's a sailor. I suspect the Blackout and the Simply Black are ever so slightly heavier. It looks to me as if the cap is a bit heavier. I'm afraid we've only got postal scales going at the moment, and it's a bit hard to tell. But I will try and do a bit more accurate measurement and put the weights on the website when I've done that. So, is it a progression or is it a move backwards? I don't know. I think it's almost a sort of de-evolution, isn't it? I mean, you're getting simpler and simpler. That feels a bit like moving backwards to something rather more basic, which I've got to say I'm very much in favour of. I think this new look is absolutely brilliant. So there we are, the Sailor Simply Black and Blackout 1911.